I decided to regrind my magnet this morning. I want to do some grinding, and the few things I've ground, I've always been about 3/10 off in one direction, and it was in this direction. And so I go, well, you know, I really should regrind this thing and make sure I do a really good job. So I went with a 46H Norton wheel, pink Norton wheel, and very careful about my balance on this wheel. I did a real careful balancing of it, so I believe the wheel is pretty darn good there, and dressing of it, using a sharp diamond and all that good stuff. And I made a couple passes across this, and it came out really nice. I scratched it because I slid a block on it, and then I made up some rings here, and I ground them all together in one spot on the magnet to make them all so they're very close, or basically the same, within a tenth or two. And then I spaced them out as you see here, and then reground them all. They all came out the same, within half a tenth, basically. 0.6, or I should say 6/10 is the decimal. It was there 2346. So that's what they came out, with the exception of this one. This one was a tiny bit larger. Floated around about 0.7, so 2347. You know, and I measured in 4 spots around the ring to make sure I had a consistent average measurement on them. But they're all you know, wise. They're all the same. Now I'm going to put the fence on. I'll grind the fence back in, and I think I'm going to leave it and try grinding some bigger stuff again and see how I do. I'm really happy with how this came out so far. I suggest, you know, this takes the time to do. Grinding the magnet is, you know, it's very time consuming, and then making the rings and grinding them and all that stuff. So I didn't want to film it all. It just takes too much time. Anyway, so we'll put the fence on, grind the fence, and we'll try some of the bigger pieces I need to do. This is the block, just to show you where I'm at. Around this way, all the way around, I have square now, so that's good. I'm working on these two surfaces right now. They're out in both directions a bit. It was about 0.04 in the lengthwise direction. It's actually quite a bit. What I'm doing is I'm doing the step method here. So I've ground all of this away, except for 5 or 6 thousandths roughly, and I left that as my shim, as my step. So I've been grinding this away until when I put it down on the plate, I'm square on the ends this way. So right now I'm square. I finished that, so now I'm going to put this end on the magnet and parallel this side, flip it over, parallel this side. Now I should be square lengthwise. I'm probably still not square side to side. And then I'm going to do it again. We'll measure again side to side, see where we're at, and do the same process again on these ends. So it takes quite a bit. Hopefully I plan on coming up square all 6 ways, but it's a long process. I'm not filming it all, but we're just chugging along. The other end's probably the high end. We'll just go over there and grind, see how that is. And I left it right where I left off, grinding the other side. So I'm using a Cool Mist mister on here, and I'm using Cool Mist as a lubricant or coolant. I have a 46-inch pink wheel on here. Nice open wheel, doesn't load up very quickly, so it's pretty nice, and I can actually take off quite a bit. So probably about 3 or 4 thousandths there. We're just going to parallel it up, hog it off, and then we'll do a finish pass on it. This is 1/1000. That gets us flat. Now we're just doing a 1/2 inch, or a 1/2,000th, I should say. And since we're going to be grinding it again anyway for the other direction, this is good enough for now. We'll go over to the surface plate, and I'm just going to make sure it's parallel with the step side, and then we'll come back and grind this parallel. Alright, I measured that for squareness, and on the lengthwise ends that we're this way, and I measured 0. But it's probably, you know, maybe a half a tenth, the very most, and I measured 0, so those came out pretty good. Now we're just going to parallel this side up, and then we'll be checking for the angle in this direction on these two sides. Okay, we'll go check them, and then we're going to figure out the twist in this direction. Now I'm going to double check the ends here for squareness.
Battalion 1, South Fork IC training, fire zone 2.
A little wetness there. Hot as the dickens today here in the shop. We're going through that heat spell, and it's blazing hot. And I say blazing hot here, it's 100 degrees almost outside. It was like 99. And that's for here, it's really hot.
Out there, put the bucket on it. Check it up for now. That's kind of what we were thinking, just buckets, not inserting anybody. Just don't feel comfortable putting people out in front there.
That is right on as my indicator. This is an Intrepid tense indicator. We'll measure.
Yeah, in terms of
I was measuring. I didn't adjust it to 0 exactly, but I was measuring a 10th light over here, and I'm a 10th light and a 10th light, so that's 0. That's
a long ways to go, and a lot.
I'm amazed I got it that square. Actually, I don't think my other sides. I know these sides are not going to be like that. That's a 3 light. That's 3/10 there. And it's probably going to be 2 or 3 on this side, 2/10 on this side. So we're a couple tenths off in this direction still. We'll just flip this over and do the same measurements from the other side. If I quit sweating on the plate, and that's the same readings. How about that? So easily that's in a 1/2 tenth, which is 50 millionths on the squareness this way, which is really nice. We'll just run through. We'll check the ends here at the same level. It's about halfway. Okay, I'm reading 1 light still, and compared to the square here, that's 1 light to 1/2 at 0. So we're in 1/2 tenth, and right within a 1/2 tenth, the same there. It's right at 0, so 1/2 tenth there.
Battalion 1, your fire IC.
And right at 0. You know, when you're measuring this way, if you get the same reading on both sides, it's 0. So I got the same reading on both sides again there.
Affirmative, copying all that direct. Are you coming back this way?
It's looking pretty good. So we're square this way around. We are square this way around. We just need to be square this way around now. So we got 2 axes, square and parallel. What else can I say? We're just now looking. If you're square, you're going to be parallel. You don't really need to check it. But I'll just put it here. I didn't check this yet, but I will. See what we get. Oh, that's 0. So we are and the needle moves maybe a 1/2 tenth there. Yeah, if that. So we're parallel all the way around. So now we just need to figure out our squareness this way, in this axis, and we'll to figure out what we need to do and be regrinding. But I'm going to check 3 places along here just to get an average, get an idea. 3/10 light. So when I say light, it's not leaning into the gauge, it's leaning away from the gauge. Then I'm going to put a arrow which way it's leaning and how much. So it's leaning this way, 3/10. We'll check it on this side. And we'll just double check our calibration, make sure we didn't get out or whack too much here. Okay. We're about we're measuring 2/10 here. So I'm measuring 2/10 to the heavy side, so it's leaning back this way, and that's just what it says, being leaned back this way, and that's what this even says. So we're this way also, and I measured 2/10. So it's probably like, really, it's probably about 2.5 when you get down to it. If you split the difference there, 5. So now, what are we going to do, right? We're getting down to, this is the last thing I have to do, and what do we want to do? So that's over 4 inches, you know, a couple tenths, which isn't very much. It's only about half a tenth, 50 millionths an inch. But we've come out so good on the rest. This is going to be this is actually probably the hardest one. Now, how did I choose what did I want to grind first? Well, I did it by how much did I have to grind. I just chose to parallel the largest surfaces first. So I paralleled those, which is easy, just throw it on there, grind it, flip it over, grind it, right? And they came out perfect. The surface finish on this is not as good. I didn't have coolant when I did these, so I'm probably going to retouch these when I'm done. But that got those basically out of the way. It's something to measure from. Then I went to these surfaces. They're the next largest. To get those out of the way, I had to step the one end to get it till it was until these were square with the sides here, and then parallel, just like I did on these 2 surfaces. I knew I would have. That means all the errors are going to end up whatever's left in these 2 surfaces, but they're the least amount to grind. If I was off in 2 axes, this way and this way, then I'd have to do them twice. So that's what I'm doing. They're the smallest areas to grind, and I have to do them twice. So just made it a little easier doing it that way as far as how much grinding I have to do. Because if I had to grind this several times with a step and all that, it would have taken me a lot longer to do. So we need to kick it, I should say, back this direction, just a couple tenths. Now, I have some really fancy shims here. These came out of some of those tags, magnetic tags they put on clothing or equipment or whatever. Inside of these is a little metal strip, and you can just take a razor to the blade or cut these open, and those are usually 1/1000 of an inch thick. to 1,000th and a half, and get a bunch of them and save them in a little jar. And they're great for doing shimming like this. They're very consistent to their thickness, which is really kind of cool. You can stack them up and all that. So it's this. I'll measure this one again. So this is one. This one is 1.2 thousandths. So that's pretty about most of the time about what they are. And they're metal. I don't know what they're made of, but they're metal. So anyway, so the thing is rolled over this way. I need to go back the other way. So we'll put one on this one side.
Came up with a rough game plan of dropping your two off at Ostrander, then hooking up the bucket, putting some buckets on that spot across Chill Creek. Yeah, we're not gonna have the flight time with ours. I'll try to get you up 5-2.
You hear the radio in the background. That's my. I use a 2-meter band radio that I have all sorts of. 200 frequencies I can put into it, and works really good. You can program it for all sorts of good stuff, and so I can scan a bunch of channels and I can listen to all the fire stuff going on, which is kind of nice. There's fire over in Yosemite right this now, still going. It's at over 4,000 acres, and we're getting a bunch of smoke from it, which is really quite irritating. It was all blowing off to the east, but now we're getting it all. In the morning, it's real bad. And they're not doing a lot. They've been working on protecting the housing that's over there, but now they're kind of letting it burn a lot.
Copy. I believe we have the line long. I'll get a 523 up to head over to that. Okay. Yep. There'd be nobody in there to talk to us. So just,
there we go. Anyway. 1.2 thousandths is too much. By a lot. Okay, so 1.2 thousandths is too much. So, another little trick. If you've watched Tom Lipton's channel, he did a whole thing on how thick Sharpie markers are. So, go over here and build up a little Sharpie. You can get a couple tenths easy out of that.
That's not going to happen. We don't have enough light time.
So that's easy, a couple tenths I put in there, and now I'm about 1/10 out. So that tells me how thick of a step I need to grind. So what I'll come in and do is I'll barely touch that, and I'm going to grind this all the way over here, leave about 1/4 of an inch along this whole side that I won't grind, and hopefully end up with a 2 3/10 step over here. Grind all this off up to that, and then I'll come back and check it, and we'll see where we're at again, and see if I have to take off more until I have a square surface. It's going to be square. It should stay square this way already because of my other sides. These are parallel and square. So the idea is to come in and grind all this off up here except for 1/4 of an inch. I'll leave this much along that edge, and it's only going to be a couple tenths, 2 to 3 tenths in height, and I'll just take off that 2 to 3 tenths. I'll take off over here, and hopefully we'll work it out and we'll be square in both directions. That's the plan. Alright, we're back, and you can see the difference in color. Now that's only a few tenths in height, but you can see that 1/4 inch ledge I left there. That's my shim step. Now, I'll make sure I get this Sharpie mark off of there, because that's going to add, so don't leave that on. And then that goes down on the plate, the step side. Well, yeah, let's just double check. That's about 1/2 tenth heavy. Well, that's 1/2 tenth heavy there. So I'm getting the same reading. So that's square. That came out perfect. Yeah, it doesn't matter what you do against a standard. If you get the same reading on both sides, you're square. So that looks pretty doggone good. Yes. Okay, that's pretty good. One shot at the grinder and we're there. So we're going to leave that. So now I'm going to go over and set that back on the grinder with the step side down, just like that. Parallel this off, then we'll flip it, parallel that off, and we're going to cross our fingers and hope we're done. That's the goal. Well, I think I'm going to stop where I'm at. I think I'm good. I'm 0 here to 50 millionths, 1/2 of a 10,000th. Same on this side. This is really more than this side. I mean, more accurate. It's closer to 0 than this side. But you know what? 1/2 of 10,000th. I'm not going to argue. These sides, we'll check these here. So we have about 1/2 of 10,000ths there also. Zero. Let's see. I checked it on the side, this way, and up on the ends. This came out. This is the first time I've ever done this on a surface grinder. Squaring something up like this. That was close to square, but it's several thousandths out actually. It's square now, that's for sure. I still have to deburr that edge and these edges here, but I'm very happy with that. Very, very happy. One of these days I need to get me a Square Master. I can't quite afford one. They're kind of pricey these days, and there's not too many on eBay. I think we're down to 1 on eBay now. I watch that all the time, but anyway, it'd be kind of nice to get one of those one of these days. But I think we're really good. This is beautiful. This will work out great. And we're going to use this as a fixturing device for the angle plane set. Chris Anderson cast up, or made the pattern, had made castings, and we've already milled them. And they're close, within 1.5 thousandths a square, but we're going to grind them, or I'm going to grind them. And I needed something to fixture them to that was accurate. And now I have something. That was the whole object of this, was to have something to fixture to. This is going to work out. So thanks, you guys. Thanks for watching. And that was a nice block now. I just started to watch a new channel, Solid Rock Machine Shop Incorporated. They've got a little shop they're setting up, about 500 square feet, and they're a little rough on their video so far, but go give them subscribe them, and he's putting out some pretty good content. I think he'll get better with his videos, but yeah, he's doing some good content, and him and his sons, and they deserve some views, and I think everybody might get something out of it. He's got some good ideas. He's showing some really good grinding stuff, and he's got some nice fixturing he's doing, and he's showing it, and I think everybody might enjoy that. So go watch the boys over at Solid Rock Machine Shop Incorporated. I'll put a link in the video, and I just want to give them a shout out. Thanks a lot, you guys.